How does this massive house stand without a single nail used during mainframe construction? The secret is an ancient architecture technique. Precisely carved pillars and beams locked directly into one another. Mr. Shimil is taking this challenge, building a hanok for a client in South Korea to demonstrate his ancient construction techniques. But this process will not be easy. Pillars that don't fit, a leaky roof. Mr. Shimil will need to overcome many obstacles. This traditional building will show its ultimate advantage, ancient beneath the floor heating system. To prove the structure actually works, staying standing is not enough. It also should prove that the heating system actually works. Will this ancient house pass its first heating test? It all starts in South Korea. Mr. Shimil, who is an experienced carpenter, needs to build an ancient house for a client. He has been working in construction for 30 years and the plan is an enormous undertaking. He will need to build the house's load-bearing columns without using a single nail. The massive posts must interlock and hold one another together like pieces of a puzzle. Then he will place the roof beams on top, cover them with wooden panels and add insulation. On top of them, the roof tiles. But the hardest part will be building an underfloor heating system beneath the house. The heat and smoke from the fire must travel perfectly through channels beneath the floor before exiting through an outdoor chimney. Every part of this system must be built perfectly. Construction begins by shaping massive tree trunks into structural posts. First, the wooden columns are shaped using an electric saw. This removes large sections quickly. Next, the finer details are carved by hand. This level of precision is necessary because every joint must fit tightly during construction. The surfaces are then sanded until they are smooth and even. This removes rough edges and prepares the wood for a clean finish. Finally, both ends of each column are wrapped in protective plastic before being transported to the construction site. Every wooden component is ready. The structural frame can now be assembled. The massive wooden columns are carried in and carefully positioned. Placing each one correctly is essential because they will support the weight of the entire structure. Because the columns are extremely heavy, a pulley system is used to move them into position. Without this system, controlling their weight safely would be nearly impossible. The joints are specially carved to fit together like pieces of a puzzle. Even a small measurement error could prevent the structure from fitting together correctly. Not even a single nail used during this process. A wooden mallet is then used to drive each piece into place. Unlike a metal hammer, it applies force without damaging the surface of the wood. Once connected, the pieces become almost impossible to pull apart. The precisely carved joints lock tightly and become stronger under the weight of the structure. Each joint is created using complex geometric shapes. In some areas, as many as 6 wooden pieces must connect perfectly at a single point. A crane is used to install the columns on the second floor. Some of these pieces weigh several tons, making them impossible to lift by hand. However, one of the columns is about 5 centimeters too long, so it needs to be lowered and trimmed. Now there's an important question that concerns Mr. Shimil. Will this column fit in its place now? This time, it fits perfectly. With the main wooden frame now standing, Mr. Shimil can move on to the next challenge. Building the roof on top of the frame. Long, narrow wooden beams are carried up and positioned across the roof. These pieces help distribute the roof's weight evenly across the main frame. Next, the rounded wooden rafters are lifted into place. They must be strong enough to support the insulation and heavy roof tiles, or the entire roof could collapse. Each rafter is adjusted with precision. Even a small difference in height or angle could leave the finished roof uneven. Although the main structural frame was assembled without nails, the roof components require additional reinforcement. Viewed from the corner, the entire structure appears perfectly symmetrical. This shows that every rafter has been positioned at the correct angle and distance. From inside, the precision of ancient craftsmanship becomes clearly visible. Every roof member has been positioned in a clean and orderly pattern. The roof is then covered with long, wide wooden boards. These boards create a continuous surface for the waterproofing and insulation layers above. The wooden roof is now completely covered, but just as the work finishes, the rain begins. Will the roof pass its first real test? The insulation material beneath the roof remains completely dry. The wooden roof has passed its first test. The insulation process begins with a waterproof membrane applied across the roof. This layer prevents rainwater from reaching the wooden structure beneath it. Large wooden panels are then carried onto the roof and installed over the main frame. They create a strong and even base for the remaining roof layers. The protective plastic left on the wooden components is finally removed. It is no longer needed now that the pieces are safely installed. Mr. Shamil is so pleased with the result that he begins dancing on the roof. The structure beneath him is now strong, dry, and protected enough to become a living space. However, the work will continue until the entire insulation process is complete. Next, the roof tiles must be laid one by one. Tiles are perfectly done. Mr. Shamil is now happy with the result, but the next challenge means the half of the work, an ancient heating system. Now the most difficult stage begins, building the ondol heating system beneath the house. A small chamber has been left under the structure with an opening leading outside. Bricks are carefully laid here to form the firebox where the wood will burn. Firebox works perfectly. From this point, rows of stones are arranged to create a network of underfloor gas channels. Heat and smoke from the fire must travel through these channels beneath the floor before finally escaping through the chimney outside. Now it is time to test the channels. Channels are leading all the smoke coming from the firebox to the chimney. It works perfect. Creating a system that heats the entire floor while safely carrying the smoke outside was the most difficult part of the whole project. It is time to add the last details to firebox and the chimney. The wall panels and windows have arrived. Now they must be installed to enclose the structure and protect the interior from the weather. An earthy brown plaster is used on the walls because this natural mix helps control moisture and works well with the wooden frame. Every small part of the outside is carefully covered because no gaps can be left open to wind or rain. The craftsmanship is so precise that any plaster left on the exposed timber is scrubbed away by hand using only a brush and water. This reveals the clean wooden frame and creates the sharp lines that define the exterior. With the exterior finish now complete, the house looks nearly perfect. Only a few final details remain before the client can finally be called. The traditional ondol system built earlier only heats the ground floor. To heat the second floor, they must install a separate underfloor heating system that uses hot water flowing through pipes. The work on this floor looks perfect. Now they need to install a different system in the small room in the attic. Mr. Shamil is checking the heating system he installed by hand. This is an important moment because once the floor is covered, fixing any leak will be impossible. It works like a charm. Mr. Shamil put so much effort into that firebox that now he does not want to leave. All of his helpers left, but he just stands there and enjoys the fire during the rain. The traditional house is finally complete, and the client is called to see it for the first time. The client was amazed by the craftsmanship he saw. After checking the finished house, he approves the work and makes the final payment. After completing another difficult project, Mr. Shamil slept peacefully that night. A talent therapy media production.